Good evening, everyone. I will call to order the City of Laguna Beach Planning Commission meeting of July 17th, 2024. May I have roll call, please?
Commissioner Goldman,
Here.
Commissioner Wyden is absent. Commissioner Dubin,
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Kellenberg,
Yes.
and Chair Sadler.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now at the beginning of our meeting is a time for public communications. At this time, members of the public may address the Planning Commission regarding any items not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes each unless extended for good reason by the Planning Commission. Are there any members of the public who would like to make any public communications tonight? Seeing none, we'll close public communications and move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of the July 3rd, 2024 draft minutes. Does anybody want to pull any items from the consent calendar? Members of the public or any fellow commissioners have any reason to pull the consent calendar?
No.
If somebody would like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second. Roll call.
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dubin,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Kellenberg,
Yes.
Chair Sadler.
Yes.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we've approved the consent calendar. We'll move on to our public hearings. And tonight, we just have one agenda item as part of our public hearing, and that is item 5.1, conditional use permit 24-050451 at 168 Mountain Road. And I believe Louis Lacasella will be presenting this item for staff tonight. You ready, Louis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the Planning Commission, Louis Lacasella, Community Development Department. So item 5.1 this evening is consideration of a conditional use permit. The requested action is the approval of the conditional use permit to allow a massage salon establishment. The general location of the project is at 168 Mountain Road. The existing project street frontage and the project location map are viewable on the slide as well as in the agenda report. The proposed use is to operate a single massage establishment specializing in a form of Japanese bodywork. The proposed hours of operation are from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and the tenant space would be divided into a reception area with retail display and a treatment area. The establishment would serve one client at a time, appointment only, and the proposed use conforms to the existing general plan use designation and zoning designation. And the staff has made the necessary CUP findings, which are detailed in the agenda report. The project would not result in intensification of use in that the project does not require additional off-street parking. The project has the same number of required off-site parking as the previous retail use. And it's also anticipated that this project will experience fewer daily patrons than the previous use due to the proposed operation being appointment only and serving one client at a time. So therefore, no intensification of use is proposed. And let's see, one slide, there we go. And then the agenda item that was published contained an earlier submittal of a site plan. However, the site plan that is on this slide is currently what's on the site, which is consistent with the previous approvals for the property as the project recently went through a parking reconfiguration. So I just want to make sure members of the public and Planning Commission are aware that that site plan that's on that screen is different than the one attached to the agenda report, and this is what is out there at the property. So given that, staff wants to recommend one revision to the conditions of approval, and that would be the first one. And on this screen, we have the track changes and the strike throughs, just notating, as mentioned, that the site plan that is presented during the hearing tonight is the one that will be approved and part of the conditions of approval. The project is exempt from California Environmental Quality Act as a Class 1 existing facilities, and then furthermore, none of the exceptions to the exemptions under State CEQA Guidelines Section 15300.2 apply to this project. And with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission, by motion, adopt the resolution approving conditional use permit 24-0451 and finding said exemption is exempt from CEQA under CEQA state guidelines, section 15301. And with that, staff's happy to answer any questions member of the public or the Planning Commission may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Louis. Any commissioner disclosures on this item? No, seeing none. Any commissioner questions of staff at this point?
Louis, I've got a couple. You mentioned parking. Is there any parking requirement for this location, like one spot or any?
Yes, so the parking use, the proposed use is consistent with the previous use, and I believe it's one parking spot per, let me pull that information up. So it's one space for every 250 square feet of gross floor area. So that is the requirement of the municipal code, but since this is not a change in use, it's consistent with the previous use, so no parking impact, no
So-
intensification.
So because of the square footage, would it require two spaces or is it just one?
That's correct, two
Two,
spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there any, I didn't see anything in the staff report, but is there any landscaping or anything that is required or proposed for this project?
No landscaping is proposed as part of this project.
All right, thank you.
Louis, back to the parking. So, this property consists of the Bear Flag Coffee or whatever it's called, and Coast Liquor, and then now this proposal. And this parking lot serves what would be 3 businesses. Is there a requirement that, within the parking lot that spaces have to be specifically designated for each business? Or if they've got a parking lot that has enough spaces to meet the requirements of those 3 businesses, is that all that it takes?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I'm pulling up a slide right now. Just give me one moment. Well, I'm pulling that slide up to answer your question. When this is 2 parking spaces, it does not have to be designated. It just has to be within that site plan, but does not have to be designated for the certain business.
Okay, and because this isn't getting so complicated as we have in some cases where you have a parking lot and multiple businesses, and you have what's called a shared parking agreement or shared parking plan, this does not require such a plan.
Yes, that is correct, Chair.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, what was the prior use, Louis? I don't think it was in the report.
The prior use was a retail. It was like a surf.
Like a surf rental and beach
Yeah.
rental stuff? Okay, yeah.
Another question, as long, and maybe this would be better suited for the applicant, but if you could maybe weigh in. Part of this, they mentioned some sort of minor retail component and selling some massage-related items. How would that work in terms of if this is a kind of a one-on-one by appointment massage place, and I would guess it would be the owner operator, and then the person who's there, the client. How would that work if somebody else came in and wanted to make a retail purchase or something? Does that make sense, or do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it'd be appropriate for the applicant to speak on that.
Okay, the applicant, if you would like to please come forward, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. If you could give us your name and speak here at the podium. And you'll have 5 minutes. When a little yellow light comes on, that'll mean that you have 30 seconds left. If a red light starts coming on and you hear a beep, that means your time's up. But take as much time as you want.
Yes. My name is David Lee. I am not the applicant, but I am a represented applicant. And I don't believe that they sell any retail item to sell. It's strictly just a Japanese, the shiatsu massage. And so, it's basically it's conducted by one. So if someone walks in, they have to either wait to get service. So that's all I can explain right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
and it's a relatively small space
It's
within,
336.
right,
yes.
and that you feel as though that is enough space to,
Yes.
to make this work?
Right, yeah.
Okay,
They have enough space to put the bed, massage bed, and also changing room. And the like a small desk.
okay, and I
Yeah.
noticed that there is a restroom and it's off of the parking lot there.
Off parking lot.
So
Yes.
that would be basically your restroom for this business?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Open it to the public. If any members of the public would like to speak on this item. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and go to commissioner comments, discussion. Anybody in particular like to start? Steve Goldman?
I think it's a fairly simple business and I'd support it. Seems to be in compliance, consistent with the plan.
Agree, seems to be in compliance, and I'm curious about checking it out myself, so.
Commissioner Dubin?
I think it's always good to, to have these spaces occupied with something that's interesting for the community. And this sounds like something that would be appropriate for the size of the space. And I can also make the coastal development permit and the CEQA findings. So I will vote for approval.
As I'm in favor of this as well, we were pretty familiar with this location. We had been involved in the previous application and renovation of the Coast Liquor Building and this historic Olympic Cottage. I was had not really been down there to look at everything after it had been completed, and I'm pleased the way that the Coast Liquor Building came out, that the renovation of this historic cottage came out. It's a small interior space that's just one, it's not even broken up on the interior at all with any interior walls or anything. So it is a relatively small space, but I agree that it seems that this is not going to be an intensification of use over the previous use. So I don't anticipate it creating significant parking impacts. And I believe that the parking situation as they have it for that back lot should be adequate to serve all three of these establishments. So if somebody would like to make a motion and remember that the conditions of approval are as revised with the updated site plan per our meeting tonight.
Well, I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution approving conditional use permit 24-0451 and finding said action exempt from CEQA under state CEQA guidelines section 15301
I'll second.
With the conditions of approval.
with the changes to conditions of approval.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dubin.
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Kellenberg.
Yes.
Chair Sadler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion passes unanimously. There's a 14-day right of appeal to the city council with anybody who doesn't agree with that decision. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay. That is it for our agenda items. Moving on to other business. Is there any other business, Anthony?
There are no staff reports this evening, Chair.
Okay, committee, commissioner, and staff reports. Any feedback from?
I have a question, Anthony, based on our sort of at least maybe in the last 6 months, it seems like our agenda is always a little in imbalance. There's either a lot or like tonight, we've got one item on there. And I was curious, um, is that in any way due to, and don't take this the wrong way, the staff reports having to get vetted through the attorney's office before is that slowing process down?
Not at all, Commissioner.
Okay.
In fact, relatively few of our staff reports are currently being reviewed
Okay,
by the city attorney's office. There's just a natural ebb and flow to these things,
Right.
in terms of getting the required information from the applicants, working with the planning staff to complete the analysis, ensuring that the public notices are complete and ready to mail in time to make that target hearing date.
okay,
Next month, we will have fuller agendas. We won't overload you at any one meeting, but for our 2 meetings in August, staff is expecting that you will have between 4 and 5 items at
Okay.
each meeting.
okay. And also, our new head of community development, do you think he'll ever attend any of our meetings? Or has he got his hands full and he's,
I would imagine that he will from time to time.
okay. I was just curious because it'd be nice to have him come in and sort of give us a rundown of his, priorities and things he's looking forward to improving upon the processes and whatnot. So,
I will pass that along. Thank
okay,
you.
thank you.
And his second in command or whatever is now, who's in that position? That's,
That would be Matt Schneider, the assistant director.
okay. And he may show up at one point or another also?
It's possible. His day-to-day work typically doesn't involve the planning commission projects. So I don't know if you might see him, but it's possible that some of his assignments will lead to him attending a planning commission meeting. I don't think anything's on the immediate horizon for that.
Okay, great. And just a general update for me, I've last weekend attended our Top of the World Neighborhood Association meeting. Our city manager, Dave Kiff, showed up at that, as well as one of the previous meetings sometime earlier. And it was nice to have him there. He was informative. Where he could be, there was a lot of questions asked about, in particular, the Southern California Edison unpermitted work that was done up in that area and the efforts to try to mitigate that what was done there. And that's all in process, but it's one of those things that what they did, within a week, it could take months or years to try to fix and mitigate. Another, and this is something that I'm sure that's, I don't see in any way that would be part of the planning commissioner's purview, but something certainly that I think the city should look into is there was a lot of discussion about a lot of neighbors up in our neighborhood who have lost their fire insurance recently. And it's just it's an ongoing problem. People are just getting, letters in the mail, just saying they're getting dropped, from long,
Meaning there's no
you're just dropped. And without any kind of, site inspection, any agent coming out to their house and actually walking around their property and stuff. In some cases, they are coming back to the homeowners and saying, if you're willing to do this, we're willing to continue to insure you. But in some other cases, they're just getting dropped without any advance notice and with just no recourse other than, I guess there's that fallback state insurance program. But it's people that have been dealing with that have been saying that that's not any easy process either. So again, and Dave Kiff's city manager's point was there's not a whole lot the city can do about this at this point, other than some programs that are in place with trying to have the fire department come out, and inspect your property and give you suggestions on improving defensibility and fire safety for your property. But, one of the suggestions they were asking maybe the city manager to look into is having like an ombudsman or something with the city who would try to dive into the issue and see, just be able to give the homeowners information on what options, limited as they may be, are out there for people who are put in that situation. Because it just seems like it's just going to be getting worse. So, yeah. But other than that, it was a nice meeting, and that's really all I have.
Yeah, Anthony, do you, have you been following there was another grocery chain merger that required, yeah, do you know about this or have been following it at all, that we may end up with a major store closure that feeds all of North Laguna?
I haven't heard anything at City Hall. I
Okay,
did see the news on social media, but I don't happen to know what the plans are for that location.
yeah, because that'd be pretty impactful to lose a major grocery store like that that does service, pretty much half of Laguna Beach, so.
Particularly since the other half has nothing.
Yeah, Gelson's,
yeah,
Gelson's
Gelson's as well.
closed, and now if another one closes, that doesn't
That
leave
would-
us with a lot,
Yeah. We may end up with a Piggly Wiggly there.
which is big down south. So
Yeah.
we are Southern California.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, anybody?
No.
Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Which is when?
August 7th.
I move that we adjourn to our next regularly scheduled meeting of August 7th.
Is there a second?
Second.
You got to do something, Steve.
Roll call.
Here.
Commissioner Goldman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dubin,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Kellenberg,
Yes.
Chair Sadler.
Yes, we are officially adjourned.